So you wanted a tutorial. I figured this would be the easiest way, a lot easier than writing a lot of text, uploading some pictures. Going to create a very simplistic game using this engine. We're going to start by removing all of the scene references from the default engine, the cat scenes. Go to File, Build Settings. We're going to click on the first one, go to the bottom, Shift click, Delete key. At this point, there's nothing connected to the game. We'll go down to the bottom, go to the scenes. We're going to add the first scene, which is scene 0. We're going to add it. We're going to add the second scene, which is scene 01. This is the loading screen. We'll add that. And scene 99, which is the ending screen, we'll add that. At this point, if you run the game, it will be just that, those 3 screens. Start over, and congratulations, you won. We're going to create a new scene, File, New Scene, delete the camera. Right away, save it, Scene folder, and name it Test Scene. Go into the prefab folder, and we're going to go into Map Objects. We have 2 screen prefabs. Just click, pull it up, zero out the position. This is simple, the entrance, exit. The other one looks like this. Zero it out, entrance, exit. We're going to use this one, so save it. Right now, this scene, since it's new, is not connected to the game. So we're going to do it again, like we did. File, Build Settings, we'll add it. There's Test Scene. We want it to be in between the load screen and the finish screen. So pull it up. Now, if we go back to Scenes, go to the first screen, we'll test it. Hit Start Over, and you'll see we're in the screen. Go then, and you won. That's pretty much what you do for every screen. If you want to add another scene, do the same thing. Add a scene, save it, put it up into the File, Build Settings, just put the middle. We're going to go back to the scene we created, Test Scene. Go to Prefabs again. Go to Map Objects. We're going to add some just generic blocks. I got a block 32 by 32. That means 32 by 32 pixels. Any of these blocks, they're physical objects for the guy. He will not walk through them. They're considered solid objects, the layer, and they're ground, which means when he stands on them, he considers them to be ground. Just click and pull, and there you go. You got it. The trick is you hold V, you'll get this little click, click, click thing, and then when you click it, it'll snap to stuff. This is a way so you can make it so things are actually stuck to the objects they are. So let's just throw some objects on the screen. We're going to add ground. We're going to add another chunk of ground. And at any time, you can play, test, and it works. A little thing to remember is this is one collider, one box collider that's very large, that holds all of the tiles. You do that because even though this snap together is the same as this, you can see this has 2 colliders, this has 1 collider. It's a lot less work for the engine to deal with, but also the guy can stub his toe on this part here between the blocks. It's something to be aware of. It's a physics thing. And also the same is true if you have blocks on top of each other. When he falls, he may clip that area where they're connected. So try to use a continuous collider like this instead of two smaller ones. We're going to also add in some dangerous objects. That's also in the prefabs folder. Goes on to map objects again, but go to the dangerous folder. These are just some generic objects I made during my game. You just pull them up, whatever you want. Same rule, hold V, you can snap it to things. You can also copy, paste. You got apples, whatever, fruit, spikes. If you want to, you can go to rotation, 90 degrees. 90 degrees. And you can snap them to the walls. My colliders, these are edge colliders, or polygon colliders for the triangles, spikes. And I kind of put them on by hand, so they're probably not exactly perfect. Maybe I'll get around to write a script which actually makes it, exactly the way it should be. Actually, I'm probably hopefully going to write a script that actually calculates are you touching a pixel or not. They'll actually be more like the Game Maker engine. But right now it's more, is your collider touching his collider? And if so, he dies. So we got these things, spikies. Spikes have colliders. Colliders are deadly. That tag means you touch it, you die. So anything with a collider that's deadly, since our game is attached to the thing, reset works. And we go to the end. Congratulations, you win. Title screen shows you won the game. I know it's really simple, but for now, that's a good basic, make ground, make spikes, don't die. In the prefabs folder, there are a lot of things you can add to the game that I either, they're kind of test objects or they're finished objects that are really helpful. I got this custom background thing you can put up. You can have a nice flamey background that, whatever. I was just kind of messing around. Custom objects. These are just prefabs that maybe some scripts you put onto other scripts. This is the guy you spawn. Go about that later. It's all about this game controller. These are super important. Maybe I'll go into those later. In-game objects. This is where all of the games you ever see in a guy game. It's pretty much all of them. All the scripts I wrote, I connected them together, put sprites on them, made a prefab. So all you have to do, like if you want water, this one's called area modifier water. I have it all set up for it to be water. Put on the screen. I don't know, make it whatever size you want. And, there, you have water. It's pretty easy. Another couple of notes is while you're playing, if you can move stuff around, if you want to test stuff or you want to, say, put a jump refresher in just to test, when you hit stop play, it'll default back to the way it used to be. So all these objects in here, there's block traps, there's the character flip, which you flip upside down, climbable, has a tag climbable, which means pretty much anything that has a box collider triggered that's climbable, you can climb. So it doesn't have to be just a green box. You can always change the sprite to something else. So you can climb up whatever. Another note is don't change these prefabs. See, there's like settings, and these are the ingrained prefabs. They'll mess with other prefabs, but if you want, you can take a prefab, put it out, and then mess with this. This is an instance of the prefab, so for example, like the area modifier, you can take this as generic one, change the gravity, whatever. There's platforms, save points, bouncies, spike choppers, spike treadmills, You can put a spike treadmill here, and when you play, Another note is, even though this is 2D, it's technically 3D. So you can actually pull these back. So if you noticed the spike when it came up, it was actually in front of before, but now it's behind. It's something to pay attention to. You can also change it here by the Z value. Before it was 0. It's the same thing with everything in this game, or anything in Unity. See, it's in front. You can make it 1, and that means it pulls it behind. When you snap, it usually snaps the same Z as the object you snapped it to. It's also something to be aware of. If you want, you just go through. It doesn't hurt anything to just take an object and pull it on the screen to test. As long as you don't mess with the stuff in here, that's fine. I mean, you can make 100 character flip triggers and just delete them in the scene. It doesn't matter. Make sure you save it whenever you, because sometimes it shouldn't. Well, when I'm programming, sometimes you crash the game and you kind of, yeah. Make sure you save. Some of these are shadowy looking in my game. Since this is a prefab, when you change prefabs, it changes pretty much all of them that you have instanced throughout the game. So these are shadowed because I wanted to have lighting actually work. That's a setting in the sprite render. You go to here. I got a whole bunch of other things. You can make sprite shadow, sprite default. Those are the two options pretty much for sprites. So that's why some of these are dark. So you just pull these on, screw with them. It's not going to hurt anything. There's some other map objects, dangerous objects. Here's some of my AI I was working on. You know, some of these, like I said, prefabs are kind of helpful because, I mean, look how many things are in your transformer, sprite, or animator. A couple box colliders, rigid body, HP module, and the AI. It's a lot easier just to pull this on and change a couple variables than adding, 10 components to every object. So you can add AI, whatever. These are all the particle effects. Pulling those on the screen really won't do much. I mean, that's the death particle. So I think I'm going to leave it at that for now. I mean, there's a lot more to it than that. If you want to, in the scenes folder, we have I want to help the cat. These are all the scenes from the actual game. I mean, you can go through these. Save. So, Matt, if you want to figure out how some, I mean, you could still play these even though they're not connected, but the save button will not work. I mean, the R button will not reset it. If you want it to, you go to File, Build Settings, add it. I mean, as long as it's added here, so you could go there, and it works. But see, since I put this one after the last screen, if I go up, well, actually, I don't know what happened there. Oh, I put the water one there. Okay. But anyhow, it's like I said, it's the order that you put them in. See, now we're back to the screen. Go forwards, we're to the screen. So, all that stuff, if you want to, you just go into these scenes. You can look on the side up here, see how I put it together. Like I said, a lot of these maps, some of them are pretty simple. I mean, this is just, I mean, this is pretty much what we made. You got this, except for these, rotate. The simplistic ones and the more advanced ones. I mean, you can, like you see here, here's all the spike treadmills. You can see how I did this. You can see the settings. You can go through. If you have prefabs that you don't know about, you could just browse through the game for examples of how everything works. I think I'll leave it at that for now. I think maybe another tutorial I'll go through, just kind of do a brief what is in all these folders, because there's a lot, especially the scripts, which I know a lot of people don't like to dig through. So it might be important to kind of just say, hey, these exist, but don't touch them. Another tutorial I'll go through, and we'll build a game from a scene from scratch. Because even though, oops, like I said, when we pulled this on, prefab, map objects, entire room, there was a lot of stuff that was also added. So if you clicked on the entire room, all you could see the simple room is just outline, pretty simple, walls, walls. But then you see we have the camera. Camera has a script on it. Room navigator. This goes left backwards a room in the build settings, and this one goes forwards a room in the build setting because that's what you tell it to do. I mean, like I said, if you figure out how all these prefabs work, you can add multiple. You could say move to room index, 4, so you can actually go to different rooms if you wanted to. Save points, game controller, spawn controller tells you who spawns and where. My things are missing. There's supposed to be little dots where it shows them spawning, but when I upgraded to Unity 5, it kind of blew all those up. It should look like that. And the music controller is how music's played through here. It's how fading and stuff. I mean, without a lot of these objects, without at least these three, the game will probably blow up. A lot won't work. Game control, the guy won't shoot. Spawn control, he won't spawn. Music controller, music won't be played, music won't be saved. That's a lot of so maybe we'll go through that. Tags, there's a couple of important tags to be aware of. I told you before, the ground one is pretty much the most important. Solid object, it used to be ground. But that means like he stands on solid objects. Otherwise, he doesn't know what a solid object is, and he'll just kind of like hover, and he won't be able to jump more than his double jump. So I'm going to do that, go through, flip around the prefabs. It's pretty easy. There's a lot more work to do on this engine. I mean, even this version isn't the version that's on the forum right now. I have a couple changes. Of course, when I logged on today, it's like, hey, there's a new version of Unity. It's like, oh, thanks. To download and update that again. I was late to the party last time. Okay, so the end, I guess.